Story time about how my best friend ghosted me, and so I started dating her brother. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It was sent to me on Instagram. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. Whoever sent me the story time, you are iconic. That's all I have to say. So me and this girl, let's call her Lizzie, have been best friends since the 2nd grade. And now Lizzie has always been the one to chase popularity. Now Lizzie's the type of person to chase popularity. Throughout middle school, Lizzie would always try to embarrass me, and she would never really want to hang out with me. But since we were friends for so long, I felt bad dropping her. So we stayed friends until our senior year of high school. And that's when this new girl, let's call her Maggie, came to our high school. Now Maggie was loaded. Like, her parents literally had a Rolls Royce and a Tesla. Like, this girl's first car was a Tesla. She was just that rich. And now she gained popularity fast. Maggie was blonde, skinny, and pretty, so everybody wanted to be friends with her, including Maggie. Now, prom was coming up, and Maggie and I previously made plans to go together. But ever since Maggie came to school, Lizzie started being super distant. Like, every single time I would talk to her about plans for prom, she would just completely ignore me or leave me on red. Until I found out that Lizzie was going to go to prom as friends with Maggie instead of me. I heard this through the grapevine, but when I tried to go confront Lizzie about this, she told me that I needed to go find my own friends and leave her alone. And I was already over it, so that's when I decided to come up with a new plan for revenge. Now, I forgot to mention this earlier, but Lizzie had a twin brother, and let's call him Liam. Now, Liam was gorgeous, but he was off limits to all of Lizzie's friends. Now, I knew Maggie had a crush on Liam, which is probably why she was trying to get close to Lizzie in the first place. So boom, that's when I came up with the perfect plan to get Liam to fall in love with me and take me to prom, to make both Lizzie and Maggie jealous. Now, Liam was in my science class, but I never really talked to him because, like I said earlier, he was off limits. But since there was a project coming up, I decided that I was going to ask Liam to be my partner. He accepted to be my partner, and we started working on this project every single day. Now, Liam and I started to get very close, and we started to hang out, not school related. And soon enough, he asked me to prom. Now, the prom dress I originally picked out was kind of boring, and Lizzie was not quiet to say that she hated it. So I decided to get the exact same prom dress that Lizzie got, but to modify it to make it look so much better. Now, when me and Liam finally arrived to prom together, all eyes were on us. Everybody, including Maggie and Lizzie, were speechless. Until Lizzie ran up to me and started yelling at me. Lizzie came up to me and started yelling at me, saying I was a fake friend, but that's when I told her that we weren't even friends anymore. And using her own words against her, I told her that she needs to go find her own friends. And yeah, that's the end of the story time.
Storytime how I was held at gunpoint. It was spring break. I was at my grandma's house with my brother and my other cousin, and it was just us. My grandma went somewhere. I don't know if she went to the market or if she went to church, but I know she was out of the house that day. Obviously, my dad wasn't there either. We're dead asleep, guys. We're knocked out to the heavens because we go to sleep like at my grandma's house usually like around 4 in the morning. We just stay up on our phones, so we're knocked out. And all of a sudden, I hear at the door 10 a.m. in the mornings, because usually at my grandma's house, like, we just all walk in, like, nobody knocks at the door. Everybody just walks in the house, and we pretty much know it's like family. So when you knock at the door, we know it's not family. Keep in mind that my brother and I are sleeping on the couch, and my cousin is sleeping in the room. As soon as I hear the knock, I wake my brother up, and he's like, leave me alone, I'm sleeping. So he tells me to go answer the door. So I was like, all right, I guess. I'm like 11 years old. So I go to answer this door, and I think it's the mailman, like he has a package or something. No. I see 3 police officers. Immediately, I'm stunned. I've only ever had like one other encounter with police officers, and it wasn't a good one. So I was kind of just like with my arms crossed there, just looking at them. Like, I was like, you know what? Hold on. And I go get my brother, and my brother comes out, and I was like, come on, come to the door, because there's 3 police officers, and I'm not about to talk to them alone. My brother's 3 years older than me, so I thought, like, I don't know, maybe he'll speak to them better than I can, but he was just kind of, like, stunned too. These were about the rudest police officers I've ever met in life, because they were asking us dumb questions. They were like, are you guys boyfriend and girlfriend? I was like, ugh, that's my brother. And then they were like, aren't you guys supposed to be in school? Why aren't you guys in school? Where's your parents? I was like, it's spring break. And I was like, my brother's old enough to watch me, technically, even though, like, I wasn't, like, a baby. I was literally, like, 11. I was like, my cousin is here too. And they just proceed to tell me that they're looking for someone. So my brother and I are like, okay, who are you looking for? We're looking for my other cousin. So the cousin that is in the house is my girl cousin. Let's call her Samantha. And they were looking for her half brother Bob. We're like, okay, Bob's not here. It's only Samantha and us in the house. and my dad went to a business meeting and my grandma's out somewhere like at the grocery store. We're like, are you sure you haven't seen Bob? And I was like, no, Bob is not here. It's only Samantha, my brother, and I. Guys, they didn't even ask if they can come in. They just like started approaching and walking in. So they came in and I was like, it's just Samantha here. And then they were like, well, knock on Samantha's door. And they were like, we have a warrant for Bob's arrest. And I was like, okay, but it's just Samantha, my brother, and I. They come in, they make us knock at Samantha's door while she's sleeping. So I knock on the door and I was like, Samantha, wake up. Samantha, wake up. As soon as they get into Samantha's door where she's sleeping, guys, they literally have their guns drawn out like with the little laser thingies, and they're like looking like this everywhere in the house and looking at in Samantha's room. And then me and my brother immediately are like, what the f is going on? Samantha was 3 years older than my brother. She basically was just sleeping and she wakes up out of her sleep to like police officers like this and my brother and I like this, and she immediately starts crying. As Samantha's bawling her eyes out, she just tells the police officers like, he's not here, get out, get out. Literally traumatized at this point because she's woken up with guns in her face. The police officers checked the whole house. Obviously my cousin Bob is not there. We're all traumatized, and they honestly just took advantage because we were all young and we kind of just like didn't know what to say because we've never had an encounter like that. These douchebag cops literally look at us like, here's my card if you find him. Are you serious? Cops really had some nerve, and I'm not saying that all cops are bad, but those cops obviously abused their power because they had a warrant for his arrest, not a warrant to come in the house and check the premises. That moment has traumatized me for life though.
I almost married the wrong man. Story time. Disclaimer, this is my story time. 11 years ago, I was set to marry a man that I'd only known for 6 months. As some of you might know, I am an actress, and that's how I met him. We were both cast in the same film as boyfriend and girlfriend. And because of this, the director wanted us to spend time together and create chemistry. The director even asked us to rehearse some of our kissing scenes, which really we only rehearsed one time. Was it awkward? Absolutely. But spending so much time together during rehearsals really did it. It's kind of hard to not develop feelings for somebody that you're working with who just happens to be attractive and you're supposed to be developing this chemistry. A few weeks later, we were dating. A few months later, we decided to move to LA together to pursue our acting dreams. But soon after we moved to LA, the cracks started showing. I am the poster child for a go-getter. I'm a hustler. I will do everything in my power to chase my dreams. His motivation was not the same. While I had 4 jobs, he had 1 job. I was paying for the bills. I was even paying for his student loans. I was sending out emails and submitting both of us to projects. Are you angry yet? Because it gets worse. I was his provider in every sense of the word. Part 2 is up. I was paying for the bills, providing for him, even paying off his student loans. I also cooked for him, and I also helped him by trying to find him acting jobs. I was the best possible fiance he could have ever asked for. Around that time, I decided to quit some of my jobs. I transitioned over to working at a dancing club as a cocktail waitress. And this is around the time that I asked him if he could get a higher paying job. At the time, he was working at a movie theater. He was making $8 an hour, and to him, this was enough. It was enough because I was paying for the rest. And when I wanted to quit my jobs, he was against it. Why do you think? I felt like his bank account, like a debit card he could swipe every time he needed money. He would take and I would give. So when I asked him to consider getting a better job, he told me that he didn't want to because his best friend worked at the movie theater he worked at. He was comfortable. He loved his job. It was an easy job for a man. I got to watch all the free movies I wanted. What more could I ask for? A partner that would help me? No, that was too much to ask for. But can you believe that it actually does get worse? Part 3 is up. When I asked him to get a higher paying job so he could help me out with the bills, he flat out said no. His job at the theater was too cozy. And a few weeks later, I experienced something horrible at the dance club that I was working at, which made me reflect on every choice I had made up until that point. I left my family to move away with somebody I didn't know, to a new city, thousands of miles away. I left my mom with major depression. To this day, I still hold so much guilt for that. When I told my fiance about the essay that I experienced at the club, his response was for me to get over it. When I told him I wanted to quit, he said no. How dare I try to quit the job that was providing for him? I broke up with him 2 days later, only to fall into an even more toxic relationship. But that's for another time.